Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel and the Bulldog Projects for round two. And as you can see, it was an epic week. What a win against the Storm down in Melbourne. I didn't tip them, didn't give them much hope before the game, and then the first try we scored, and I thought, oh, okay, we got on the board. That's nice. Then we scored another, and every time it was just more and more incredulous. Like by the time Avrilo walked over, I was just my brain had almost exploded. What was going on? Um, Partly because of how badly the Storm was playing, but also just how well the Dogs played. It was pretty cool to see. Um, and then more amazingly, it sort of reflected in the score for the week. So 1,136. Um, so the team that I put a lot of blood and sweat and tears into has only got about 900, snuck over the 900 mark for this week. So absolutely amazing. Top 2,000 in the ranks. Obviously, we started at a super low pace, so got up into the top 100k. That's a win. Hopefully, we can stay there. But let's have a look at this beautiful team and how well they've gone. No, I'm good, thanks. Champion. So Reid Marnie is an absolute freak. 90 points. He is the captain and he's leading from the front. It's so good to see. Captain on field, I should say. New Brown obviously went off the bench, so didn't have as much time to make an impact. But 20 points is fine. Max King and Ryan Sutton, we'll just lump them in together because they're doing the hard yards in the middle. Um, yeah, so they'll probably stay in the team for as long as we can afford to keep them, or until it's upgrading time. Frankie Pele, so you know gave us a glimpse with that big run of his. Um, 22 points, you take that. But I think he's going to be that impact sort of player, a bit like Spencer Leniu at the Panthers, um, and Seraldo, uh, had fingerprints all over that squad as well. Um, but yeah, just sort of playing, through that back half of the first half, start of the second half, real impact, give the starters a breather, and then he's done his bit for the team. Tanner was obviously laid out, so didn't play. But that's okay. Bottom dollar, we're not too stressed about that. Philiami Kickhouse, so he was really good. Things like his kick chase, his defence, pressure, all that stuff was on point. Obviously, that doesn't translate to super coach points. So, a bit of a decision to be made. He is our most expensive forward. He's probably our most expensive player, other than the imports that we brought in last week. So, we might have to make a call whether he can stay in the team or if we can afford to upgrade. Patel Mariner, so yeah, it looks like he's playing those minutes in the middle. So 50, that's pretty solid. Jermaine Hopgood, he's an absolute freak, or Hop God, I suppose, is being called in Supercoach circles now. Yeah, so 124, I think. Well, I haven't got Supercoach Plus on this team, but yeah, I think he's expected to make something like 180k, and that's off something about 60, 70 points is his expected range. So, given he's playing 80 minutes and averaging 90 points, that could be a couple of $100,000 in the bank. Thanks for coming. And even then, he's a keeper anyway, so keeper for 300,000, that would be insane. Waddell, 38, he's that first forward off the bench, relieving the big boys, so um, yeah, that's to be expected. He might be another one to not make the cut this week, but we'll just see how we go. Jacob Preston, so it looks like he's going to play big minutes on the edge, and he's going to play them well. Like obviously, this 84 includes a try, line break, all that sort of stuff. But he's just busy. He's not sitting out there waiting for the ball to come to him. Um, And I guess, well, the way they're throwing the ball around, it's going to get to you eventually anyway. So yeah, so he's locked in. So stoked that he's going to make some good cash for us. So one of the imports that wasn't so good, Nathan Cleary. Um, yeah, so the Panthers are struggling, as I've talked about in other videos. Probably, the Premiership / World Cup hangover is hitting hard. Um, so we'll stick fat. I mean, probably the plan, given we've got a bit of cash, is just to hold him, get Nico Hines in as soon as we can, and just run the two big boys in the halfback position. And yeah, Cole Flanagan, he'll fit well this week, 55 if Hines isn't available. Yeah, that's fine. We'll take that. Matt Burton. So this is the sad one. He's already gone from my main SuperCoach team just because he's a bit slow in starting the season and can't afford to let too much cash slide away. But in saying that, there's not a lot of viable options at 5'8". Obviously, I went to Adam Dewey in my main team, and there's a possibility I could do that here as well, but I want to try to avoid making the same trades. Obviously, I was guilty of that in week one, bringing in players that I already had in my team. But I mean, what team wouldn't want to have? Will definitely help good. Cleary and Tedesco a bit meh now, but had to start getting some guns in the side where we could spend that salary cap. So then to the centre wings, which were all pretty amazing. Carraz, he's a freak, 148 points. Obviously, there was a couple of tries, I think, definitely one. But just the amount of runs he makes out of the backfield, and he busts tackles, he offloads. Um, yeah, so he's the keeper, I think, in this side for sure. He's not going all season long unless he has an unfortunate accident. Addo Carr, 77, so obviously the try helped with that. And yeah, he's getting more involved, playing through the middle, which is pretty cool to see. Hayes Perham, 69. So I mean, yeah, he's looked really good the first two games of the season. It was a bit sketchy in the trials, and obviously he got out of my main team because of that, off the back of his trial form. I was a little bit nervous, but he's looked really good. And I guess, given the way my team's going, I wish he was back in the team. But don't get that many trades every round, unfortunately. Alamotti, he looks really good. Obviously, he was the one who didn't get the try out of the back five, which means probably it was the wrong call to bench Avarillo, bench wrong centre. 90 points. I haven't actually looked at his stats yet. I know he got the try, so obviously there's a line break involved with that. Would have got, try assist for, tipping on to Carraz for one of his tries. So what's that? About 33 points, two line break assist, tackle bust. Oh, that's beautiful to look at. But yeah, I guess, probably the 50 average, I think, that's what we would expect most weeks. So not going to get too hyped, but he definitely will make some cash off the back of that big 90. Jade Knockenball, he was a late in. He probably wasn't going to come into the team anyway. Yeah, a little bit scary watching him defend in the middle because he's not really a defender. But, capable of running the ball, so might be that ideal bench option. Looks like more teams now with the adjusted concussion rules are going to go with, two middles, sort of half hooker type replacement or hooker replacement. Could probably slot in the halves if need be. And then also your edge type player that can cover, anywhere from second row out to the wing if need be. Because you can always activate the 18th man with two concussions, like Knights did, for example. I think the Tigers did as well in their game. That was a brutal game, both in terms of the hits and then also just the quality of the footy. um, so he could feature on the bench, but then that just means that 298 is going to quickly turn into 200. So you don't have to stress because he's only going to have one game in that rolling average. So not an urgent removal. And then James Tedesco, I was, thinking the big boys would lift. I was thinking our boys might do it tough down in Melbourne, but completely wrong. Like I said, didn't burn me in the sense of my overall score. Maybe if I'd trusted Reid with the captaincy, or Hopgood would have been ideal. But yeah, that's all right. 55, he'll come good. And maybe again, Roosters another team sort of struggling from World Cup hangover. Um, yeah, might have to do some deep diving into all that. Don't remember when the last World Cup was. It was a while ago. So, what are we going to do this week? We've got 500k in the bank, but we've also got players that are about to come off uh, into their third game, which means their prices are going to rise and or fall as it might be. So, it doesn't help as well that I've got don't have the SuperCoach Gold available, so you might have to. I can't log into the two accounts at once, can I? That's a bit rough. I might just have to estimate it. So I guess if we're looking at estimating it, the two big worries are Burton and Kickout. I think they're definitely going to be the two highest in terms of break even. After that, probably New Brown would be the next one who's going to drop some cash, and then maybe Corey Waddell after that. So I guess the question is, Kickout, Burton, do we consider them keepers in our team? I mean, on their day, they're definitely capable, but yeah, they're going to drop cash. I guess, yeah, what I'm thinking is we go New Brown out, Corey Waddell out, and the Fox is a reluctant sell. Just because he's got a bit more money attached to him than these other guys that aren't named Jacob Krause. So with that, what we're going to do, and you can probably see the players actually here on the first sort of page that we're thinking about. So the centre wing option I want to bring in is the Hammer. He does look really good for the Dolphins. I know this is another pick the same as what's in my team, but I mean, if I didn't have him, you've got to pick Jermaine Hopgood. I mean, we're pretty lucky that we've got Jacob Preston, who I think you've got to pick if you haven't got him. Um, yeah, so from there, the two hooker options are clearly here. Do we go Wade Egan, who's the pod, who's gonna make some cash for us, or we've got the money, we can afford Harry Grant plus whoever we want. Do we just bite the bullet and get the gun in again? It's going to look similar to my team, but I think Harry Grant is without doubt the number one player. Yeah, all right, we'll go Harry Grant. I know it's quickly morphing in the team, but honestly, um, yeah, he's the best in that position. Um, yeah, Wade Egan, I know he scored a try both weeks, so we can't rely on that. And then I guess, I'd love to bring Tohu in, but again, he's a player I've already traded in my other team, so I'm thinking we might chase some cash and go with Eli Katoa. So I guess one of the positives out of the game for the Storm, obviously there's 1,000 from the dog side of things, but his combination with Jerome Hughes looks quite good on that right edge already. And yeah, he's someone that a lot of people have in preseason. I know, what was it, 20 some percent, 18.5% have him now. So I mean, that's not the worst shout. So if we make those trades, we've still got close to $500,000 in the bank. And if we think about next week, there's going to be players like Tedesco. Um, what's I can't think of his name. I was thinking of Josh Schuster, but he won't be on his third game next week. Who else we got? The Dragons. You might have someone like Jack Bird. He'd be up on the bubble as like a banker option in the centre wing for that upside playing in the lock forward position. Obviously the Panthers too, so we can sit a week on Cleary. Um, Maybe Sonny Luke's out of the picture now. We've got Grant and Marnie. But someone like Taruva might come into the back line and make us some more money. So we could get through these trade boosts pretty quickly, but I guess part of the thing with having this team is we do want to try to make some quick moves to sort of optimise it more for super coaching purposes rather than just enjoying seeing the blue Bulldog symbol there every week. Excuse me. And so just looking at the team, obviously Cleary's on a bye, which means Flanagan's going to come into the side. I mean, Avarillo will be a perfectly good replacement on the bench because, I mean, don't particularly want someone like Ockenbaugh or even to a Frankie Pele. So I think that's going to be the 17. In terms of, I think we've got to give Reid the captaincy. When do the Dogs play again? Sunday, are they? So heaps of time. And then in terms of the vice captain, I think we'll go with Hopgood for sure. Man, he could go absolutely nuts again against the Seagulls. So I think if we get a good enough score, we can obviously bank that. Cleary will just slot in as the captain. It's pretty handy having this bye for that purpose. The loophole is nice and simple. Obviously, we've got heaps of options of non-playing players that could slot in, but that's fine. When do the Dolphins play? So the Dolphins play earlier. Maybe just to make the team look nicer. Have the back four there, obviously minus Adokar. Hammer can just sit on the bench, who cares? Same with Katoa. Obviously, Hopgood needs to be there. Yep, cool. So, that's how the team's looking going into week 3. Got the Tigers at Belmore, so that should be another good one. Expect the Tigers to respond to their poor effort on Sunday just gone. But, I mean, if the Bulldogs play like they did against Melbourne, shouldn't be an issue at all. We could be another top 1% for the round. So I think we'll leave it there. Obviously, feel free to comment if you go a different direction with this team. As I said, I sort of want to try to avoid morphing it into the same team as what I've got on my main team, I suppose, the Angry Pirates team. But in saying that, some of them, I think, like particularly Grant, Hopgood, they pick themselves. So it's just a case of how soon can you get them in. As I said, I guess the one question mark might be if Hines gets up, do we bring him in straight away? Do we give him a week just to see how he's going? At the moment, probably leaning towards giving him a week. We can bring him in. We can bring Tommy Turbo in next week. So spoiler alert there with the trade for sure. So we might wrap it up there. So as I said, if you've got any other thoughts or opinions, feel free to comment. If you're loving the content, you're loving the Bulldogs and their season, give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the videos. There's a lot of them. They're coming thick and fast. Maybe going for quantity over quality, but we'll work on that. And other than that, I'll catch you in the next one.